Jimmy, how you doing today?
Jeremy, I'm doing wonderful. How are you?
Real good. Real good. Well, here we are. We're talking about things like spending. Are we spending too much? This is
Yeah,
the conversation that comes up with a lot of households, a lot of families.
right.
I don't care what age you are, this can be a relevant conversation.
Absolutely.
So we're going to dive into that spending piece and see what this means to different people and what are some of the things you can do about it. So are you a spendthrift, a tightwad, or somewhere in between?
Right. And I think everybody has their own things that they spend on, right? Right. You might be a tightwad in some instances and a spendthrift in others.
I think that's actually well put.
Yeah.
I mean, I think personally when I apply this to myself, I think absolutely I'm pretty cheap about certain things, and other things I'm much more liberal about. I go after them. I
Right.
like to spend money on vacations. I don't have a problem with that. But if it comes to the day-to-day stuff, I'm pretty cheap.
I like to spend money on golf, day-to-day
Hmm.
stuff. I think I'm pretty cheap.
There you go. So everybody's different is the point, and each household takes on a different tenor. Each individual is unique. Some people might think that they're spending a lot of money, and in fact, they're not. And some, just the opposite is true. Sometimes people are, really, they think they're saving a lot, and they're not.
Well, it's always relative, right?
Yeah.
And when you're looking at, are you spending a lot? It's relative. What's your income? And when we're building plans, that's a lot. Oftentimes, what we're looking at, what's your savings rate? And that obviously is a number that's very important in building on a long-term financial plan. But spending too much is definitely relative and very individual.
Absolutely. So I think it's good to put this in the context of spending and savings. I don't know if they're in opposition to one another, but they're definitely both goals.
Right.
And you guys have seen us use this before. We like this image. Here's your current state of reality. You want to get to a goal. It's going to be a windy pathway to get there, right? Don't expect a straight line.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you might have a goal and then, you need a new roof or something comes up, right? It's like it's out of your control. And so it's not a linear path towards, achieving your targeted goal.
Life and spending intersect one another a lot. And so they can kind of get in the way.
Absolutely.
Or maybe it can help. You get a bonus.
Yeah. Right.
You win the lottery.
You win the lottery, right?
I mean, there's a lot of different things, but know that these are goals, and if they're going to be goals for you as an individual in your personal financial planning journey, you have to think about them. You probably have to articulate them. It's probably wise to write them down.
Yeah, absolutely.
So then you get to the logistics of it all, or how you execute a plan. You notice that I don't say budget because I just don't like the word.
Yeah.
Budget
I'm with
seems
you.
so formal and so austere, and then it just makes me want to cringe and not do it.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty quickly, you can be turned off pretty quickly from it. But as we see here, if you have Microsoft Excel, there's plenty of tools at your fingertips to track your spending. Not necessarily budget, but to track your spending. To your point about writing down the goals, well, the first part of writing down the goals, you need to understand where you're at before you figure out where you want to go. And so this is a wonderful opportunity for you. As you can see, we've typed into Excel is just spending.
Yeah.
Right. And look at all the tools that are available out there just through Microsoft Excel to start, at no additional cost, no more money out of your pocket, no more spending, but to start tracking what you are spending. There's a bunch of tools at your disposal there.
Yeah, getting started is often the hardest. That first step is the hardest one.
Yeah.
And so just take a step by looking at Excel. A lot of free tools in here.
Right.
And it's just easy to start that way.
Yep.
Maybe that's not where you need to be ultimately, but it's a good starting point.
Agreed.
And there's like a lot of spending apps out there now. This has become pretty big fintech business model.
Big time.
And what's neat about these different apps that are out there is that they can now integrate through APIs and whatnot, where
Yep.
you're pulling in data sources from, say, your credit cards or your checking account and your savings account, and it's showing you all that stuff. So it's automating some of this manual work that you might have to do on a spreadsheet.
Right. Yeah. So my wife, for whatever it's worth, likes to use the Quick and Simplify. There's no, not pushing any product here. I have no strong opinions on it, but my wife likes to use that. Mint.com was like a big thing, a while back. It's not as prevalent
In fact,
today.
I think they shut that site down. I think.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think that's the reality.
I think that was like one of the early players in the game of sort of like being able to integrate all of your accounts and seeing all your financial data all
Right.
on one dashboard.
Right.
But yeah, now there's a bunch of competitors to it, and the apps continue to evolve and develop, and I think they all have probably different strengths to them, but there's a lot out there.
What are some of the benefits that you think she's realizing by using it?
Well, I think it's just getting a grasp on having my credit card, her credit card, our we have a joint checking account, having all of that data flowing together into one place, categorizing your spending, right, and inflows and outflows. I think she's gained taken a lot of value from being able to see everything all together in one spot. I feel like as a financial planner, I have a pretty good feeling of what's going on with our family spending as it is, but for her, it's nice to have this extra layer of she doesn't need to talk to me about it. She can just pull up her Quick and Simplify app and get a lot of information.
I like it. I think it's similar to taking a business approach to your personal spending and finance.
Right.
And that business approach allows you to professionalize it a little bit.
Definitely.
Look at it, be a little bit more serious about it.
Right.
And that categorization is what made me think about that, because I do the budget for our business, as you know, and we get to categorize our expenses and we figure out, how much are we spending on software? How much are we spending on meals? And you name it.
Right.
But you get to figure all that out too with these apps.
Yep, absolutely.
One of the apps that wasn't on that list, and again, this is no endorsement whatsoever, it's just one that we've heard about, and we've heard some people talk about it with some glowing reviews actually, is called Rocket Money. And it's actually made by the company Rocket, which, as people
we know here locally,
Quicken Loans was that company at one point. And so they've gone out there, they've developed this. I think the thing that's different about it is it also gets into your subscriptions that you have and looks to create almost a concierge-like service where it'll go out and find and then cancel the subscriptions that you don't want any longer. And a lot of times what people are finding out there is that they have double subscriptions on some things.
Which seems difficult to wrap your mind around it, at a surface level. But then you start to think about how the world of like cable has evolved and unplugging and all the different subscriptions you have if you're streaming.
Yeah.
You've got and sharing of passwords on a lot of these services has been a thing that is starting to be cracked down on, something like Netflix, right? And you maybe had a boyfriend or girlfriend that you were sharing a Netflix password, and then you break up and you realize, oh shoot, I'm still paying for my former significant other's Netflix app still, right? I think that's part of their marketing ad is they realize, oh, I'm paying for these things that I'm no longer using. I've doubled up and I'm paying for it twice.
No doubt. So I think it's worth looking at. Anecdotally, I do have a client, and they said that they started it and they saved $120 a month.
Sweet.
Great.
Yeah.
Right? So it's a great tool, and I think what we're really trying to do is encourage people to do something. Don't just do nothing. If you think you're spending too much, you may be spending too much.
Right.
But the power is in the data and understanding what you're really doing and looking at that over the course of months. Not any one given month is probably a bad barometer, but looking at things on a wider scale, and you can get a feel for what you're doing. This all ties back to your financial plan, as almost things do.
Absolutely. We always talk about the importance of a plan, and and the importance of understanding spending and saving, and spending is a huge variable in the retirement plan, and understanding where you're spending is that's a step in the right direction to professionalizing and really understanding your financial and your retirement plan.
Well said. We'll leave it at that. Thanks everybody for joining us.